Finishing my vitamins. One of the things that I learned about myself once I intentionally started getting into circles with people who were doing bigger things in their life and in their career. And when I say bigger things, I'm not talking about degree achievement, credential attainment. I'm not talking about that. What I mean is doing bigger things in their lives, in their industries, in their personal lives, not just their professional lives, right? What I learned, and I learned this through a lot of coaching, was that I severely suffered from a scarcity mindset. It was so deep. But the irony of it is that even though I had a scarcity mindset, rightfully so, it wasn't just because I had endured a lot as being a homeless young adult, being a single mother, living in a rural town with no resources, no job opportunities. I didn't jump out on the front porch and say, "Oh, I got a job." No, it was times where I didn't have a job in the beginning. That's how I had to get really, really good at getting jobs. So, rightfully so, I was stuck in perpetual survival mode, and I knew this about myself. I used to pray to God, Lord, just help me release this from me. But that was only once I had a name for it and that it was pointed out, and I started learning about what does that look like. And again, what I was going to say before was that even though I was always in perpetual scarcity mindset or in a survival cycle, I still made choices in my life that no one would ever make who was in survival. And I got to attribute it to my faith. Right? I just always knew that I was destined to do something more, have more, be more, things like that. But one of the things, again, that I had to acknowledge about myself is that my decisions were rooted off of my lack mindset. And the reason I wanted to bring that forth to you is that I had the opportunities to do a lot of major things in my life before the last 6-7 years, but I didn't because my scarcity mindset and the what ifs. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if such and such happened? This doesn't feel safe. Was keeping me back. So I really wanted to talk to you today real quick about doing some self-reflection work. What that looks like for you: prayer, journaling, talk therapy, talking it out. You need to dig deep to understand better if the decisions that you make in your life, again, not just regarding your career, but also regarding where you live, what types of things you purchase, the people you surround yourself by, the activities that you engage in, the content that you consume. Is that rooted in survival, scarcity mindset? Because a lot of the times it is. I was up here, I was eating my breakfast just a few moments ago, and I was watching something, and it made me think about how the people I associated with back then was a clear, visible sign of my scarcity mindset. The people that I associated with outside of in my personal life was a clear sign. It was people who were struggling. It was people who were stuck in perpetual survival mode themselves. I stayed with those people because it was familiar, right? But also at the same time, it was keeping me in that cycle as well because I wasn't seeing nothing different. So I was walking through the world thinking this is just the way life is, even though deep down I knew that it wasn't. That's what set me apart from other people. I believe, honestly, that's the only reason that I made it out. And I believe it's due to my childhood foundation and the experiences that I was exposed to. But everybody ain't had it, right? So I really want you to do some self-reflection today around, are your decisions rooted in fear or in faith or in the belief that you can have more? And once you identify that, you then can be better abled or better positioned to make well-informed decisions for yourself. And understand that I'm not an expert on scarcity mindset. I'm just telling you in my own way. Scarcity mindset doesn't have to just be dollars, right? Maybe you're like, well, I spend money on such and such and such. It can be in your fear of not moving from the place where you are because it has such and such and such, and moving to where you really want to be. It could look like you not applying for the job at such and such organization because over here, you know the predictability of your day. You know what it's going to be. You fear like, okay, if I move over there, then this will change, that will change. They'll ask me to do more. Scarcity mindset. Look it up. Talk to you later.